It's time for today's three-stock lunch. Today, we're trading three names that are moving higher in the intraday session, despite the mixed trade coming from the broader indices. Here with our trades, Gina Sanchez. She's Lido Advisors chief market strategist. Also, you know her as a CNBC contributor. So first up is Biogen. The stock jumping after the FDA delayed its decision on Eli Lilly's rival Alzheimer's treatment, but shares are still down over 10% this year. So, Gina, what's your trade on Biogen?
So we're still a sell on Biogen. This is a tough one because there was a lot of expectation going into the launch of the Alzheimer's drug, Leqembi, and the challenge there was that they have their sales did not meet expectations, so they underperformed there. They argued that they had patient access issues and other logistical issues. The postpartum depression drug also has not performed as expected, and so they've announced, efforts to cut costs by the end of the year. And while that will save around $400 million and help earnings, it's not the sort of story that investors can get behind.
All right, let's move on next. So that one is a sell. Let's move next to DocuSign. Shares are higher after the company beat fourth quarter estimates on top and bottom lines, provided upbeat guidance for the first quarter. Shares up more than 30% since the start of December. Can DocuSign keep on rolling?
So we're neutral on this one. We could get excited about it. The challenge to DocuSign was that it was it was a pandemic darling. It came out when having to sign things remotely was a challenge. They came out with a very nice, beautiful, slick, simple product. The problem was that Adobe quickly caught on to that train, and Adobe Sign has really proven a significant competitor in, quite frankly, a much more mature ecosystem that Adobe has built out. So DocuSign has actually done better than I would have expected because they have continued. They've kept their base of customers, and they are continuing to focus on operations. What could get me more excited would be to see them continue to improve and expand the product. But they are doing everything that you should see. They're building a solid base, and their margins are now positive. So this is all good stuff for DocuSign, but I think we need to see a little more to get really excited.
Okay, so you like it, but you're giving this one a neutral. DocuSign is higher by 5% intraday. Finally, we have shares of Gap. Gap Inc. shares are popping after the company's holiday earnings beat analyst expectations, and Old Navy returned to growth for the first time in over a year. The stock's still down in 2024 despite today's move, but shares are up more than 80% over the past 6 months. Gina, where do Gap shares go from here? Obviously, they've got a new CEO and sort of reworking the strategy.
Yeah, so we're a buy here, and clearly the new CEO is getting things done. But there's actually a big, broader move across retail, and Gap is a beneficiary of that. And they are benefiting from feeding into the trends. And so they're making the right moves idiosyncratically, but the broader move in retail is very strong. And we think that that's being lifted by two things. Number one, you see positive real wage growth continuing. And so people are making more than inflation in their wage growth. And that is clearly benefiting retail. There was a lot of conservative guidance, in fact, going into Q4. And they smashed that guidance and were able to provide less conservative guidance going forward. So that tells you that those wages are feeding into retail sales. And the inflation trends still continue to fall. Yes, we saw that uptick in PPI, but margins are expanding, and Gap in particular has seen margin expansion. And so those two things are going to benefit Gap, but it's going to benefit the broad industry.
Yeah, the margins were particularly impressive there. They said they're trying to keep their promos under control. And the CEO said to me, and I just have to read this quote because I think this was funny. He said, "We devolved from a pulp culture brand to a clothing retailer. Today, we're getting our vibe back."
All right.
I like that.
All right.
Gina, thanks very much. Gina Sanchez, have a great weekend.